Okay, back in Cooper's Corner, working on this 92 King Quad 300, rebuilding the rear axle shafts on this bike. This is the outer shaft, so this would be the outer U-joint. That is the inner U-joint, right next to the crankcase. This shaft is not rebuildable from Suzuki. You have to buy a whole new shaft, which is $500 right now. This is mid-year 2022. They used to be cheaper than that, about $250. This is here in Canada, Ontario, Canada. You can rebuild these yourself. I looked through the forums and found a part number from GMB. This is a GMB U-joint. It is a solid, non-greasable U-joint. I just did the other side and it fits absolutely perfectly. Part number is 220-0045. These are 15 bucks from Amazon. 500 bucks? 15 bucks. A little bit of work. It's really not that hard to do. This side, I decided to use a grinder to get the U-joint out, so I cut it in here, and then I cut it down there, and then I cut here and here to get the rest of it out. It takes off a little bit of metal just there, but I'm really not worried about it. It's very, very minimal. Now I'm going to press out these caps and then take a dremel and grind out all the staked metal here. So the reason these aren't rebuildable is because the U-joints are staked in there, so they squish the metal down over the cap. So once you get the caps out, I'm going to grind out all that staked metal with a dremel, press in the new U-joint with either my press here or a bench vise or a U-joint press, a little C press. Once you get it back in there, you need to line these up just perfectly. So you'll end up looking at the edge. You'll end up looking at the edge and measuring it with a caliper and making sure they're absolutely even with each other and perfect. Then you take a washer and then you weld it on there, just keep it in there. So you're going to need a welder, or you're going to need to find someone with a welder. It doesn't take a lot to weld those on. It's really not much at all. And that is about it. Cheap and easy. You can also use a slide table and an end mill to grind out this metal. And then you can just push these out as a normal U-joint. You don't have to cut it out if you don't want to. It was just easier. It's just faster and easier. I did the other side with a slide table and an end mill. It worked just fine. It took some time. This took to cut it out with a grinder, it took like 5 minutes. It wasn't long at all. The end mill was probably half an hour. When you get that all done, get it all put back together, make sure that it's nice and loose before you weld these washers on. And by loose, I mean it's free. If you push them in there too much, if they're squished too much, this U-joint, they get tight and they don't like to move. They don't like to rotate. So make sure you just fine tune where that U-joint is inside the shaft before you weld these on, before you finish the job, because it's going to really suck if they don't last, right? And when you go to put these back in the bike, you want them to last forever, you need to line them up just like this, just like they were from the factory. So this U-joint should be lined up with this U-joint. Maybe this isn't perfect here, hang on. Yeah, it's pretty close. And it should look just like that when it's all back together.